Hello, everybody. Welcome to day one of Garoo's S&P $100 challenge. In this series, we're going to trade the micro S&P futures, starting with an account size of $100, and see how far we can take it. So to start off here, we'll do a little bit of chart analysis, and then I'll walk you through a couple trades that I took today. Starting on the daily view, this is the SPY chart. We are going to be trading the futures. I do chart both. But we'll be trading during regular hours, and so I like to focus on the SPY chart, and that's what we'll be looking at during this video. So on the daily view here, we were consolidating for a little while, and then we gapped up here, completely leaving behind this daily demand zone untested. Just kept moving straight up through the all-time high set back in February. And so what this tells me, especially from an intraday perspective, is that I want to have a bullish bias. I'm not opposed to taking a short if there's a really good reason to. I wouldn't want to be in that trade for too long, and ideally I would just be patient and wait for good long setups to continue the daily uptrend that we're in here. Looking at the hourly chart, I drew out these two demand zones here, both at key levels. This one is right at last week's high. The one down here is just below the old all-time high, so two good places to look for bullish price action to form. And the price action that I look for is always on the 5-minute time frame. That's where I execute. So as it was opening up this morning, it was opening up right in the middle of the range here around last week's high. And so I marked out this 5-minute supply block here. And then also this 5-minute demand block down here right at this origin of impulse. And so as the day opened, it started rallying upwards. A little consolidation here. It does come back and give a retest, which is a valid trade, but I don't usually like to bet on a continuation of whatever the first move is, at least until it breaks some type of key level and consolidates and then keeps going. And we can see here that this goes right into the 5-minute supply, and then it reverses. So here is another valid trade setup that I did not take, again, just because I had a strong bullish bias going into the day. I wanted to be patient for longs. On the futures, this wick definitely did reach into this little block right here. I think on the S&P, this was within a penny. It just touched there before continuing to the downside. And then, as this was happening, I marked out this as the high of that 5-minute low bar, waiting to get a close above, which would basically turn it into a demand block here, and then I could get in on a retest. And so because this is happening right at last week's high, right around the open, we dipped below the low of day, and now we're reversing and holding above. And so I thought this would be a good setup for a long. Here is where we get a break to the upside. At that point, I set my order right below this level here, essentially, stop at the wick down here. And unfortunately, I just got nuked straight through immediately. Not great on any day, and especially not today, because not what I wanted my first trade to be for this series. But here we are. It is the 1st of June. We're starting a new quarter. And so this is what we're working with. So I'm just going to mark this out here. I think this was about a $27 loss, which does make it tricky because now I have to have a really tight stop, starting with $100 down 27. It takes 50 to open a contract, and so now I can't lose more than like another $20 without getting liquidated, which does make it tricky for stop placement. But moving forward here, we keep going right into the 5-minute demand, and then we reverse out of that. I could take the first retest technically. I like when the first retest, and actually I guess, yeah, here it was right here. But I did not take that trade just because I wanted to see it put in a higher low, ideally above this level over here. and then it comes back down, and I think it gives another retest of that block. Yep. Bounces again, and so at this point I moved my high of the low bar over here. Now looking for a close above this block here, which we get on this candle. So at this point I set an order right here, stop again below the wick, consolidate, get the retest, so there's my entry, then we start moving upwards. And as this was happening here, I had marked out this level here just to put an alert there. I didn't have a target set there. Sometimes I like to see if it might, go a little bit, farther through. But this was such a large candle from all the way back here. As this was happening, I just trailed my stop up aggressively and ended up getting stopped out right around here. So let's draw that here. So entry there, stop there. And so that made me a little over $60 on that trade. So at that point, I was up roughly 30 bucks or so for the day. I thought about maybe trying to take another trade, but the farther on in the day it goes, things do seem to get a little bit less accurate. I don't want to overtrade. I don't want to, ruin having a positive day. And so I decided just to close the laptop, and I did not, watch any of this price action as the day continued. Basically just range some more. And so in the end here, my so the loss was for $27.50. The win was for $63.75. The commissions and fees were $3.64. So all in all, that was a gain of $32.61. So not too shabby, starting again with an account size of $100, already up a little bit over 30%. That's with one loss and one win. And so we'll see where it goes from here. I will see you guys in the next video.